Olá a todos, meu nome é Nathan e aqui estamos para mais um vídeo do Five Nights at Frickbear 3 Custom Night. Vou tentar de novo jogando FIENDS, que eu estou chegando em um jeito correto de vencer esse negócio, mas é complicado.
Son of a nutcracker! Oh, darn it! Ready or not, here I come! Here comes a new Here comes a new Look here! No! Hello there.
Man, am I glad to see you. You know, I was thinking recently. Yeah, we being a children's entertainment restaurant. I think the company should branch into toys. You know, I thought that was an interesting subject, and I thought you could bring it up to your boss, because looking at the children and seeing the toys they bring in, all sorts of wonderful, colorful figurines and collectible action figures and marketable characters. I've thought to myself, you know, a lot has changed between now and when me and Orville grew up back in the 40s. See,
God darn it!
back then, safety standards were subpar, and this was made very obvious by a lot of sectors, but more importantly, children's toys were awfully strange. Now, I had a lot of arguments with Orville about this kind of stuff. Specifically, we had this toy set, and it was weird, you know, Orville came from a wealthy family. They could afford all sorts of expensive doodads and doohickeys and thingamabobs. And he had this set that was specifically for playing with atoms. I believe it was something that nuclear science was big fan. You see, at first it sounds interesting because, you know, children love learning. Learning is one of the most wonderful things you can do. I love learning every day. I love sharing my stories because learning is just one of the most beautiful. It's wonderful. It's just a magical thing. But Orville, he wasn't in it for the learning. He was in it for the other part of nuclear science, making the explosions and all those. So he bought this. His parents bought him this, and we've been playing with him in his backyard at the mansion. And he was sitting, you know, looking at it. He was like, "Hey, Orville." I'm sorry. He was like, hey, Hippo, look at this. Check this out. And he showed me, and he put I believe it was some blue rock. He put it up to another one, and it created this beautiful bright blue. And we thought, you know, at first it was wonderful, and then we fell deathly ill. And it turns out, a couple weeks later, after we'd already played with the toy over and over again, the toy had been recalled because the scientists up at the stop had discovered that radiation is insane. Scientists are wonderful people. I think about scientists all the time. Scientists can be wonderful people. For example, you know, the fellas that brought to the moon, me and Orville, we actually watched the moon landing on live television. What happened, it was a triumph. It was one small step for man, one giant leap for mankind. It was just a beautiful
Somebody needs
sight for the whole. You know, Orville thought he's always been a bit of a skeptic. He told me.
can get. Bye. Aw, darn it.
Well, hey there. Didn't it fancy catching you here? You know, it's been a while since we've last spoken. How's the job? Things going well? You know, thinking about meeting up with old friends after a while. I met up with my old friend Montgomery Gate. You know, people know him as Monty. There's a stage name for the whole rockstar thing. But ever since he picked up that rockstar thing, he never really had time for any of his old friends hanging out. And, you know, I was okay. However, the other day, he called me and asked, "Hey, Monty, I mean Hippo, you wanna catch up and go fishing?" Now, of course, I couldn't say no to that, so I packed the fishing gear, put it on the back of the truck, and I drive over to where you said to meet up, which was this old shack a couple counties over. Now, I don't know why he'd asked me to drive so far, but the old shack was stationed right next to this old pond, really big pond, and he'd stated that it was a very, very good pond for fishing. But I digress. So I drive over. I meet him over at the old shack. Creepy old shack it was. Covered in mold. The wood was barely holding together. There were spider webs everywhere. And I'd asked him, "Hey, Monty, is this your shack?" I assume he didn't hear me because instead of answering my question, he looked over to me and held up this big burlap sack he was carrying. And he said, "Hey, Hippo, I got a quick hand chucking this here bag of compost into the pond." Now, of course, not much of a botanical man myself, so I had to ask, "Why would you do the fertilizer? Nothing's growing like that." And Monty, he looked over to me, looked away, looked over to me again, looked at the bag, looked at me. And he said, "Well, there's seaweed at the bottom of the pond here. It's good for the fish." And of course, who am I to question a guy who's grown up around bodies of water his whole life? So I obliged and helped him chuck the bag in the river. But I couldn't help but notice these two lumps on the bag. Kind of reminded me of rabbit ears they did. So I asked her, "Hey, why is the bag so lumpy?" And he responded, I thought dead animal or something." Yeah, dead rabbit. A little rabbit got into the bag. It's, you know what happens every once in a while, but carcasses is good for the pond. Now, again, I'm not one to question my friend's knowledge, so I just wave it off, help the chunk it in the pond, and almost at every moment, there's the water.
Here comes the news. Hey, what's some cool?
Well, am I glad to see you? You know, I'd actually been thinking.
Mas é óbvio.
Here comes the news.
Óbvio.
No. Look here. Oh, darn it. Darn it! Hey, cool. Hello there.
Ai, eu esqueci de você. Não foi esquecer. Não dá pra falar de esquecer. Eu apertei a porcaria. Eu apertei a desgraça.
Here I come. Look
Well, am I glad to see you? You know, I'd actually been thinking about it a lot recently. Specifically magic, because my buddy Orville, he's a magician. And there's a lot of argument in the world about the real believability of magic. And for me, magic is strange. I've heard about all sorts of different things, all sorts of spiritual strange subjects, like, pretty sure I've heard something about red meat being out of here. That's here, no there. I don't really understand any of that. What I do understand is the card games. And the card games have been getting really popular recently. For example, I can't, it's something. But I've been seeing some of the kids' older brothers and sisters playing in the big kids section of the restaurant. And I thought it was interesting. I had a closer look at it. They'd show me the ropes, and I gotta say, card games are really complicated. You know, back in my day, we used to just play blackjack and poker, and go fish and tiddlywinks or whatever. It's interesting how complicated modern things can really get. Like, have you ever tried to use a computer? Of course you have. It's a part of your job. There's so much to do. You open the menu and it just hits you with a wave of options. All sorts of applications, I believe they're called. That, programs. You can watch moving pictures. You can listen to music. It's insane. I couldn't believe my eyes. You know? What's next, right? Anyway, so I was also thinking about... Look here! Hey, you know what? Maybe it'll come back to me later. I'll see you around.
Oh, come on!
Look here! Look here!
Check this out. Oh,
Bye!
come
Son of a nutcracker!
Oh, security guard!
Oh, darn it! Look here! Oh, darn it!
Take it away, Bon Bon!
buying!
No!
Oh, darn it! Look here! Oh, darn it!
Hey!
Come on there! Oh, darn it!
Hey!
Come now. Hello there. Yo. Look here. Oh.
Check this out.
Behold my. Hello there. A new irritation. Things can get. I can do. Behold my.
I'm glad to see you. You know, I'd actually been thinking about it a lot recently. Specifically magic, because my buddy Orville, he's a magician. And there's a lot of argument in the world about the real, the believability of magic, whether or not it can even be a real thing. And for me, magic is strange. I've heard about all sorts of different things, all sorts of spiritual, strange subjects, like, I'm pretty sure I've heard something about remnant being uttered here. That's here, no there. I don't really understand. What I do understand is card games. The card games have been getting really popular recently. For example, I can't repeat something to do with it. But I've been seeing some of the kids' older brothers and sisters playing in the big kids section of the restaurant. I thought it was interesting, and I had a closer look every once in a while, and they would show me the ropes, and I gotta say, card games are really, huh? Well, back in my day, we used to just play blackjack and poker and go fish and tiddlywinks. It's interesting how complicated modern things can really get. Like, have you ever tried to use a computer? Of course you have. It's a part of your job. There's so much to do. You open the menus and it just gives you a wave of options. All sorts of little applications, I believe they're called. That programs. Just you can watch moving pictures, you can listen to music. It's insane. I couldn't believe my eyes. You know, what's next, right? Anyway, so I was also thinking about where was
Hello there.
Get ready for a surprise.
I? Hey, you know what? Maybe it'll come back to me later. I'll see you around.
Hello there. Yo. Hello there. Aw, darn it. Hello there.
Check this out.
Hello there. Aw, darn it.
Man, am I glad to see you. You know, I was thinking recently that we being a children's entertainment restaurant, I think the company should branch into toys. You know, I thought that was an interesting subject, and I thought you could bring it up to your boss, because looking at the children and seeing the toys they bring in, all sorts of wonderful, colorful figurines and collectible action figures and marketable characters. I've thought to myself, you know, a lot has changed between now and when me and Orville grew up back in the 40s. See, back then, safety standards were subpar, and this was made very obvious by a lot of sectors, but more importantly, children's toys were awfully strange. Now, I had a lot of arguments with Orville about this kind of stuff. Specifically, we had this toy set, and it was weird. You know, Orville came from a wealthy family, and they could afford all sorts of expensive doodads and doohickeys and thingamabobs. And he had this set that was specifically for playing with atoms. It was something with nuclear science. He was a big fan of this stuff. See, at first it sounds interesting because, you know, children love learning. Learning is one of the most wonderful things you can do. I love learning every day. I love sharing my stories because learning is just one of the most beautiful. It's wonderful. It's a magical thing. But Orville, he wasn't in it for the learning. He was in it for the other part of nuclear science. Making the explosions. Those things. So he bought this. His parents bought him this set, and we've been playing with it in his backyard at the mansion. And he was sitting, you know, looking at it. He was like, "Hey, Orville." He was like, "Hey, Hippo, look at this. Check this." And he showed me, and he put the, I believe it was some blue rock. He put it up to another one, and it created this this beautiful, bright blue. And we thought, you know, at first it was wonderful, and then we fell deathly ill. It turns out, a couple weeks later, after we'd already played with the toy over and over again, the toy had been recalled because the scientists at the stop had discovered that radiation is insane. Scientists are wonderful people. I think about scientists all the time. Scientists can be, they can be wonderful. For example, you know, the fellas that brought to the moon, me and Orville, we actually watched the moon landing on live television. And what happened, it was a triumph. It was one small step for man, one giant leap for mankind. It was just a beautiful triumph. It was a sight to behold.
Take it away.
Ganhei. Cara, eu não tenho palavras. Eu tô sem palavras. De novo. Meu Deus. Cara, eu tava pensando em só não fazer, tá ligado? Tipo, terminar ali. Mas eu consegui. Meu Deus. Sem usar Deadcoin, sem usar nada, cara. Eu consegui. Por isso que eu... Nossa, por isso que eu disse pra mim mesmo, cara. Não inventa coisa, não tenta Frickbear, não tenta. Só faz o que você entende. Só isso. E deu certo. Cara, quem sã consciência eu tinha no final? Porque eu não sei. Tipo, eu não sei quem que eu tinha no final. Eu também não vou saber. Cara, sinceramente, depois de tudo que eu passei, isso daqui parece fácil. Sinceramente, tipo, isso aqui parece fácil. Nossa senhora. Obrigado a todos por assistirem, meu nome é Natan. Eu vou te dar um monte de coisa fora, porque eu... Nossa senhora, que ódio. Não foi tipo... Foi um desafio, também. Eu tô tremendo, a minha mão tá tremendo aqui, o mouse que eu não segurei. Mas muito obrigado a todos por assistirem, meu nome é Natan, e a gente se vê em outro vídeo. Só falta um desafio, daí eu vou pro módulo lástico com todos os finais. Beleza. Tchau.